And you're supposed to do certain things. Now you deviate from those norms and people start getting like suspicious and they start getting upset with you because you're not doing what a boy's supposed to do. So say you want to transition from a boy to a girl, it more than likely you're going to have to come out and say like, I do not want to be a boy, I want to be a girl, and I do not want to adhere to these norms that you're setting for me. Because if you're a boy and everyone sees you as a boy and you want to like do girl things, people aren't accepting of that.
So, like, personally for me, growing up, I was a major tomboy,
Yeah.
huge tomboy.
Yeah.
Never had an issue with it. Nobody ever really else had an issue with it. It was just kind of normal. Like
People
it was just
see that as phase though. Like the tomboy thing.
no. Everyone thought I was gay.
That too. Like
People
that,
thought I was gay.
it's like
Yeah, it was, and I had to
Equate that to
honestly, like,
phase.
I had to get people to understand that no, I wasn't gay. Actually, I was
Yeah.
just liked boy stuff.
no, that's
And
common.
but for me, I really didn't care what other people thought. I was just doing what I wanted to do, and I liked playing basketball. I liked playing softball.
Yeah.
You know, I liked getting out and getting dirty and playing with the boys. And if somebody had a
Yeah.
problem with it, well, that was on them. I really couldn't have cared less what they thought.
How did you feel about those stereotypes though?
I didn't
You didn't care.
couldn't have cared less.
So
I
Sam,
had
I mean,
blast playing sports.
well, I mean, as a whole, I mean, you've seen it. Like, how do people feel, about peer pressure? I mean, what's peer pressure like, and how does it affect?
Well, I did go to school with a lot of people like through elementary school up until now that were transitioning or starting to. We had someone who did, I'm not going to say anyone's names,
Sure.
but we did have someone who started out as a girl, was very tomboyish, did not like girl things at all, but would always wear like boys' clothes, really just wanted to be like part of the boys. And then school concert time would come around and they would have him in dresses. And everyone would make fun of him because his mom would dress him up in dresses and make him look really girly. And to be in that kind of environment, knowing that you don't really adhere to that type of thing, you don't want to wear the girls' clothes, going to your school concert in a dress, that's very like isolating. It's very like stigmatizing. Over the years, he fully transitioned now, has like the gender affirming surgery. And like, you can't even tell now. I only know because I knew him from like first grade. Yeah.
So
So,
I know who you're talking about? No. Okay.
No.
All right.
but that type of thing, like, but even like when you're in the midst of transitioning, we had a lot of people, Megan, in high school that would change their names. Because you know what I'm talking about. People would change their names in the midst of transitioning or starting to transition, and people just did not like that.
Right.
Like, would not be accepting or part of that at all, unless you like strictly like I would say went to school administration, got your parents involved, and said like, "This is my name." Like, a select few of them. Yeah,
Well, that's where I was going to go with. Like, that could be a phase as well. I mean,
I would say
I used to hate
some
my
of them
name as
were.
a kid, and I'd be like, no, I want to be called this or I want to be called that. And it was just because I hated my name. But again, it was like that could be considered a phase. You know, I mean, just like
Yep.
the furries who, oh, today I'm a dragon, tomorrow I'm a dog, then I want to be a parrot, then I want to, you know, like
Furries
they
is
can't figure
actually
out what
like
they want to do.
very interesting. That's a whole thing. Having your fursona, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Persona. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So, like the whole like with peer pressure and that type of issue, are there a lot of people that are transitioning or feel that they need to transition because it is a phase for them? And how do you tell the difference?
And what
Honestly.
happens to those that end up deciding to detransition after the fact when they've gone through all of that and then they
Right, but-
decide, ooh, I really don't want to
I
do
would
this.
say some people do think at a time maybe they are transgender and then maybe they come out of that, but it always stays in the realm of being like gender queer or gender fluid and just kind of being
How about you just be yourself?
And well, yeah,
Instead of
that
having,
is being
instead
your,
of having like
that is being yourself. So instead of like,
but why do you need to be a name? Like, why do you have to be a thing?
it's not necessarily a thing. It's like, instead of maybe being transgender, you don't want to change your gender. You just want to be like
Just
whatever
be.
you want.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Gender fluid is pretty much like, on a given day, maybe you feel more feminine, maybe you feel more masculine, maybe you feel both, and that's fine. That's who you are. You're both at once. That's just what you feel.
I feel that every day.
Yeah.
Like,
You know,
I mean,
on
but
a larger scale, Demi Lovato went through that where
Yeah. She changed
came
her
out, she changed
pronouns.
she changed her gender from she was non-binary.
She was non-binary. Yep.
changed she was more masculine
Mhm.
Yep.
for a long time, and now she's come out as I don't really feel that way anymore. And
right.
Well, she still goes by she and they as her pronouns. Before it was strictly they them.
Yeah.
But she does identify more with the more feminine sides of herself now. So she went back to she they, which, I mean, pronouns are something you can change, I would say.
But wouldn't it be the person changing it, not everyone else
Yes.
changing it for them?
Yes. It's the person's choice as to what they identify as.
Right. But not their choice to tell other people how they should be identified.
If they want to be identified a certain way, they should make that clear instead of, because bring up Demi Lovato again, she said, I would like to go by they, them at a certain time. And a lot of people were like, no.
And that's their, I mean, they don't have to.
They
go
don't
by
have
that.
to, but that was her way of being felt accepted by her fans, by society. And
Why do you have to feel accepted?
well, why wouldn't you?
What does it matter?
Everyone wants to feel accepted. That's on Maslow's
I don't,
hierarchy of
I don't
needs.
think you can say everybody.
Love and acceptance. That is a tier.
But that's not for everybody. That's for the majority, not necessarily for everybody, right?
Not
so there are
everyone wants
people
to be
out there that
accepted.
couldn't care less. That
Not
are just like,
everyone, yeah.
or they have different levels of acceptance that they want to feel. Like some people
That's
want to
true.
be like heavily accepted and oh my God, my life is going to end if I'm not accepted. And other people are like, yeah, it's all right. I mean,
I feel like as
so
long
there are
as,
different levels of
as
it.
long as you're accepted by one person, even if you don't
Right.
want to be accepted, people are accepting of that. So there you go. That's your acceptance.
accepting of the concept.
Yes.
Yeah.
Laura says, I've had employees that work for me. Where is it? Hold on. I've had employees that work for me that would change their name every couple of months. It's just hard to accommodate when they are constantly changing their name and their identity. And does that kind of go along with what was said? What I said, like, is it a fad?
I don't know. I can't speak to that.
Right.
I don't really know like what goes on, especially like on like the psychological part of that. If like people change their names, they change their names. I don't know. We did have a few people actually in our school, like when I was trying to get Megan involved, that people would change their names all the time. And like there's a certain point where you're just like, okay, like
Well, what's that point then, I guess?
probably by the second time. And
So
you're
who
like,
determines that?
okay.
Who
What do you mean?
determines that it's crazy versus, oh, it needs to be accepted?
Because they go through the effort the first time of being like, my name is this. My name is this. Please call me this. And we're like, okay, your name is that. And then a few months later, they don't ever call me that again. This is my name. Like, okay.
Well, maybe they just want to be accepted.
It's true. They do want to be accepted.
So why not accept them at that point?
Maybe they're not accepting themselves.
Right. Well, they're not initially because
That's
they're already
it.
changing
That's
it the
hard
first
part.
time.
Yeah.
If they're
So
not,
they're not accepting themselves, but they want
are.
other people to accept them. And
Yeah.
that's where it's, to
Right.
me, it's more of a psychological issue. And it's,
Yeah,
you know,
that is.
they're, it's a mental disorder. They don't know what they
Now-
want to do or what they want to be or who they want
There
to
is
accept them or.
part of this does fall into the DSM,
Mhm.
which is, if you don't know, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, which is where they classify all of the mental illnesses, disorders, conditions, and stuff like that. Now, gender dysphoria is in the DSM-5, which is the most recent version of the DSM. And I don't know the exact definition. I was looking it up earlier, but essentially it's like an unease with the gender that you are, and so much so that it impacts every aspect of your life, so much so that you're falling into a depression, anxiety, and other mental health conditions because you are so uneasy with who you are. Now, a lot of people like to say that being transgender is a mental illness. That's not true. While gender dysphoria may fall into that, that may be a realization that maybe you are transgender. Being transgender itself, that's not a mental condition.
So now, Kathy, you lean? Tell me if I'm right or wrong. I mean, you lean more towards gender identity being more of a psychological issue.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know what you are, that's an issue. But I will say though, I don't care what you think you are. Don't shove it down my throat. Don't push it on kids. That sort of thing. Don't be trying to give them puberty blockers and talking about transitioning them at like 7, 8 years old, that sort of thing. You mentioned Target earlier. You have Dylan Mulvaney in one video saying, "Oh, women have bulges, normalize the bulge." And then Target comes out and is like, "Oh, tuck friendly bathing suits." Well, which one is it? Are we tucking or are we normalizing? Like, what are we doing here? That to me, that's not healthy at all. And to be pushing it on people like that is don't just be. You don't need to shove it down everyone's throats 24/7. Just be. That's all.
You're thinking over there. Go ahead. Go ahead. That's part of this gig here. You got to go ahead and speak your mind.
There's been a lot of outrage.
You can disagree with people.
With Target lately, and
Yeah.
a lot of the outrage, I will say, is very fabricated.
I think because they're pushing it on kids. I think if it wasn't
they're
the
not
kids,
pushing it on kids, though, is the thing.
when they're trying to bind children,
those aren't for children.
they were children sizes.
They're
I saw them.
extra small.
They were in
adult.
children sizes. A child could fit into them.
But they're an extra small adult.
A child could fit into them.
Could.
Do you see
but
that?
Will they?
An adult may not fit into it.
Well, at one time,
We got
yeah, she can. She fits in. It was maybe about a year ago. You were fitting into extra small. 2 years ago,
maybe. But the whole binding and
I know,
tuck
Megan
friendly
was extra
thing,
small.
that's not even necessarily part of transgender, being transgender either.
If you're trying to hide your
well-
sexual parts, that's part of gender.
Yes and no. I will say a lot of women have found the binding tops really useful, actually, because women's bathing suits nowadays do not give you like the support that you need.
yeah.
So a lot of women really like those binding tops.
I don't mind support, obviously, but
Yeah.
binding, no, that just sounds painful. That just sounds painful. And why aren't they making bathing suits with like cucumbers in them for for the women that want to be men? Why are they only making tuck friendly ones and not others with prosthesis in them?
I can't answer that.
I
question.
mean, why isn't it going both ways? It almost seems like now they're discriminating against one of the genders.
Right.
Why aren't they making them the other way? Why aren't they making them with fake breasts in them instead of just binding?
So we have
know.
we have a phone number that if you instead of chatting in the room, if you want to just go ahead and text the show and be not identified. I mean, I would see who you are, but I would not go ahead and
He'll call you out.
mention it. No, because that's what we do. It. The number is 860-591-9664. It's scrolling across the screen right now. One person just texted in and said, "I agree with Kathy. Don't push it on others." What?
And it's like in your face 24/7. I think that's where a lot of where a lot of the controversy is coming from, is because you feel like every day, social media, obviously, especially, but regular media, social media, everywhere. It's in schools. I mean, my kids come home every day and it's like, that's all you hear about. It's all you see. It's everywhere. And you just feel like, oh my God, enough. Can we just take a break from this stuff for a little bit? Just be whatever it is you are and just do it. Just, you don't need to shove it in people's faces and make a big deal about, you called me the wrong pronoun. Just live your life. Just do your thing.
Well,
and
let me
move
ask you
on.
this,
Yeah,
and Sam. Let me ask you. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I kind of half agree with you because I kind of feel like it does have to be out there because people don't understand.
Right. No, I'm not saying to hide it. Certainly
Yeah.
not saying that. I'm just that's
No,
what I'm
I-
saying.
I,
Be
like,
yourself and
Yeah,
do your
no, like, I
thing.
agree
But
with you. Like you're like, excuse me, you're using the wrong pronouns. Like, okay, say it once. I'm
right.
sorry.
And then just move on.
Move on.
Like, you don't need
Exactly.
to start a riot in the middle of the street because, you were called he instead of she, they, whatever
Yeah.
you want to be called. And it's like, it doesn't need to be so
Right.
controversial. Just
Sam, let
be.
me ask you this: are a lot of the belief structure that's out there in society, is it generational?
Yes.
definitely.
Like
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, there's that whole Gen X, Gen Y thing, and there's a big disconnect between the two.
But I will also say the in your face stuff as of recent is coming a lot out of the political climate that's
Yeah,
in the US right
definitely.
now, especially what's going on in Florida right now with Ron DeSantis and every bill and law he's passed and probably in the last month, basically
Oh, it's ridiculous.
calling for like the eradication of these people. Like
Yeah.
Have you read all the
everything-
bills?
Everything that he's trying to do.
Have you read the bills though? Because that's where, when you talk about the political stuff, that's where if you don't read the bills themselves and you just go off of what you hear on social media and even the regular media, they're taking things way out of context, and you have to read the bills for yourself to know exactly what's in them to be able to speak to them. Like you can't just go off of what people are saying, and a lot of people do that, and then that's where a lot of the political stuff comes in because people are hearing, or seeing on TikTok, oh, the don't say gay bill, blah 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 blah. That's not. That bill didn't say anything about that. It was not
had to
pushing
be-
it on children.
Well, I didn't have to, but I made an academic research proposal based off the Don't Say Gay bill. So I did look into that really extensively. Now it's a research proposal, so it's open-ended for someone to do. I have it. I wrote it myself, but it's based on the research that I did around that bill. And some parts of the bill I will say are maybe understandable. However, I don't agree with it. I don't think it should really be.
Was it harmful to
thing.
anybody?
Yes and no.
Or is it just your beliefs that your ideology, you don't want to agree with it just because it goes against like what you stand for?
It's not necessarily like what I stand for. It's safety reasons why I think
What made it unsafe?
coming from
Does society make it unsafe?
a human development standpoint, which is something I also majored in college, it is really important that parents have a hand in sexual education
Mhm.
for their children.
They should have the biggest hand in
of
it.
all ages,
Mhm.
not middle school and on, talking from the time that they're able to look at themselves and say, I am different. These are my parts.
Mhm.
Parents need to be educating children about those parts and the correct anatomical definitions and terms as to what they are, because child abuse, sexual abuse is so rampant. And so many times there have been issues where a child is being abused. One, they don't know what's happening to them. Two, they can't tell an adult because they don't know what the part is called. And they will go to an adult and say, this person's doing this thing to me, but they're not using the right words. So they don't know what they're talking about.
They can point. There's
They
nonverbal
point,
ways
but
of communicating
don't-
that stuff.
Sexual abuse, though,
Mhm.
wow, you don't want to tell your children, that like this could happen to you, but you have to make it clear that like no one should be doing that to no one.
Definitely.
But they don't do that is the thing. Now,
Wait a minute. You're saying parents don't do that?
parents.
Where's
don't do
that? What do you mean parents? Parents aren't telling their kids that they shouldn't be touched?
You would think that they would be, but
How is that data collected?
They
How do you know that parents are
Hold on,
telling
let her answer.
Well, I'm wondering where that came from first, because
this
that's
is
the basis.
academic research. I don't know
How's
where
that
you want
data
me to
collected?
draw from. I don't know.
Like,
but
are parents are they filling out some sort of questionnaire saying
it's usually
like a survey or something?
qualitative research where, well, surveys can be quantitative or qualitative, but qualitative more on like the open-ended side. Plus, if you do interviews, that's qualitative too, where a lot of the research that I've gone into sex education is that the parents just aren't doing it is a thing, and that's part of sex education. They're not telling kids about abuse. They're not saying that you need to be completely upfront with a very small child and say, like, you could get abused. This is how you know.
It has to be
it's-
age appropriate.
Yes. But there needs to be a boundary drawn saying, if you are touched in this way, you have to tell someone. You should never be touched in this way. And also teaching children consent too. Consent starts from day one. And that's like kind of feeds into this. And that's why a lot of the people were really upset about the Don't Say Gay bill, because that was part of it. Because they were trying to ban any kind of, not saying teachers should be the ones saying these things, but there's kind of an overlap between family and school with that education. And they're not talking about sexual abuse in elementary school, but I can just say that's why a lot of people were upset with it, because they were taking away any like mention of that type of thing away from people. And they're putting the reliance strictly on the family to teach every single thing there is to know about sexual education.
And while I agree that families should be teaching their children, not every family is going to do it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So
But
you
even
have
the
to-
words like consent,
right.
that's being taken away in schools, because consent, they believe, is inherently a sexual word. And it's not. You consent to have things done to you all the time.
I consent to have my hair cut.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So that being taken away from you when you're in school, that's a big deal.
So they can't say the word consent in school. Is that what you're saying?
It could,
They're not
because
allowed
it
to
could be
teach
taken.
consent?
It can be taken in a different way, that
Right.
you are consenting to do something that maybe you don't want to do,
Right.
or whatever, and then blah 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 blah. Here we are.
Right.
So I want to get to a couple of comments, and we'll see how this goes. It's very generational, and I kind of knew that this was going to
Absolutely.
happen.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's true.
Yeah, and because there, I mean, it's you could talk about sexual identity, gender transformation, whatever. No matter what subject you're talking about, you can talk about shoes. You know, the disconnect between X and Y are going to be like, no,
Right.
I'm not doing this. You know, because you have, I mean, Sam, you're going to have people our age,
Yeah.
right? And they're going to say, oh, Sam's getting that edumacation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're
All right.
probably calling me
Indoctrinated.
When-
Yeah.
when-
You see what I
woke,
mean?
Yeah.
When we grew up and you were
That's why I wanted you to come in and talk your
Yeah,
piece.
And you went to
I-
school with somebody who was gay. They were a little effeminate, whatever. They were more masculine. You were like, oh God, stay away from him. Oh God, how weird. Ugh, you know what I mean? But
It was
now-
like a
yeah,
disease.
Exactly.
All right, so let's take a look here. Victoria says all this talk about some of it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Some of it is just a sidebar, but all this talk about 1% of the population. Dylan M isn't trying to normalize anything. He makes a mockery of women.
I agree with that 100%.
She says no, you say yes.
Oh, he's. Oh
Dylan's
my
done
God.
Nothing. Dylan has done nothing.
Well, I don't disagree with that. He really has done absolutely nothing. But
Dylan has done nothing. It's just people being mad that Dylan exists.
No, I don't care that he exists at all.
I don't even know who
That-
Dylan is.
No, I don't. No, it has
Dylan
nothing
is
to do with him
a
existing.
transgender woman who is on TikTok, and
Is that the one from Bud Light? The Bud
Yes.
Light kid?
Oh, all
Now,
right, all right.
something she
let,
needs to
let
explain.
me explain what happened with the Bud Light thing, because like I said, a lot of the outrage is very fabricated.
Yes.
Well, start at the beginning, like where
What
how
happened?
he came to be, like how you know what I mean.
Dylan
Like
was a male at a time, and she started her transition on TikTok with a series of day one of being a woman. And
But before that, though,
that's
even before that, he was non-binary. Like he wasn't sure if he wanted to be male or female, so he played both parts basically
So
to start with.
Dylan started a public transition on TikTok with hormone therapy and, you know, like going through the motions of transitioning, buying clothes, like doing feminine things, and
Buying tampons.
people very accepting of that. Now, Dylan has now had all of the gender affirming surgeries, including like the facial feminization. So Dylan is everything that a woman is biologically at this point. Now,
Except for his chromosomes.
now, the Bud Light thing. What happened?
You are brutal.
What
She said
happened
biologically. I had to mention chromosomes.
is Bud Light sent Dylan a can with her face on it.
One can.
One can with her face on it, and as a gift. And
Yeah, everybody went nuts.
everyone went ballistic and started boycotting Bud Light, buying it in mass just to dump it out.
Which is
Blah blah
stupid.
blah.
Because they're getting your money.
Exactly.
That's just dumb.
One, they're getting
Yeah.
your money. You're wasting.
If that was the
things.
CEO, I'd be going, thanks.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care if you drink
That
it.
was, that was
But the
dumb.
outrage was that they were going to start selling stuff with her face on it. They were pushing pride propaganda. They were pushing transgenderism, but that never happened. They sent her a gift and people took it way too far.
Well, then the marketing team did pull back on on the
Exactly.
marketing campaign because of it.
People were buying their stuff just to dump it out. They were causing outrage in stores, going into the store to dump it all out on the floor or destroy the beer case or whatever, the fridge. And for what reason? What are you showing? You're showing
That they're not supporting it. They're not supporting their marketing.
But
And it worked because then they stopped the marketing campaign.
doesn't really matter.
Well, it
She's
does to
still gonna-
marketing. When it
she's
comes to
still gonna
money, it
exist. You're
matters.
not stopping her from existing.
They're not trying to stop her from existing.
but that they were.
No, they were trying to stop it from being pushed down their throats. Literally shoved down
No
their
one was
throats.
I don't
pushing
think that's
It
not-
was
I
never
don't think
pushing
that's
it down
pushing.
anyone's throat. They gave
Yeah.
her a gift, and everyone was like,
But
And then it
even
was all,
so,
but then,
too far.
but that's where social media came
Right.
into play, and social media then shoved it down your throat.
even if it was to become some sort of pride thing or a marketing play or whatever, I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think so. I think
It is if the majority doesn't support it.
"Who's the majority?"
All the ones you
The
were
beer
just
drinkers.
mentioning, yeah, the people drinking, the people using your product. I mean, that's who you're marketing to, are the people using your product. So if you're trying to market to them, and I think with this one, from what I heard, they were trying to market to new people, obviously. I mean, you're always trying to get new
Right.
customers and all of that.
Well,
And it always boils down to money.
I will say
Always.
the oldest people in my generation, Gen Z, are like 26, maybe, I think, 27.
I don't remember.
So you got a lot of new people coming in. I'm turning 22 this year. A lot of people are going to start buying alcohol. And Gen Z, out of all of the generations, are the most accepting of gender identity and things of that sort.
Mhm.
So I could agree it was appeal to get new people to buy their product.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, sorry if it offended someone. Like I just
Did it get people? Did it
You know,
get your
there's that old
generation?
thing. Any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah.
I didn't
No matter what, if
I'm-
it's good, bad, or indifferent. It doesn't. If you ask me, really, from an advertising standpoint, and whatever happened, it doesn't mean anything. It means nothing at all. You're going to have an outrage for a little bit,
Yeah, yeah,
and,
yeah.
and then you know what's going to happen,
Yeah, it'll bounce back.
right?
Yeah,
People will be buying Bud Light like crazy.
Yeah, they'll forget about it.
Ex-
It'll be a thing of the past.
Exactly.
It hit their bottom line for a little bit.
You know what
and
happened?
They'll
You
recover
know
from
what?
it.
How this else happened? It had nothing to do with transgenderism or anything like that. New Coke. I don't know if you remember.
Oh yeah.
before,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
New Coke. They took away old Coke, and like people
Mhm.
were pissed.
Yeah.
Because this new
Mhm.
Coke sucks.
It tastes different. They
It's
changed the
awful.
sugar in it. Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah.
Coke Classic.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, and guess what?
It's fine.
It's not even Coke Classic anymore.
No.
It's just Coke.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's
This
what I'm
is
saying.
not
It's
any
marketing.
different.
No.
They're just parlaying off of the two generational gaps.
Mhm. Yeah, and
That's all
trying to
they're doing.
use it. Did you find that people like your generation turned around and started buying more Bud Light because of it?
Oh yeah.
They did. Okay. So I mean, in that case, it
Victoria,
worked,
it will not last.
but they, I mean, overall, obviously they lost money, but I think they will.
Those
bounce back
boycott
from it.
things, they're not gonna last.
No, they never do.
And it happens on both
Stupid.
sides. You
'Cause
know, I mean,
'cause
everybody
I-
boycotts something at some
I am
point.
the person that I am, and I'm on social media all day long. And a lot of the social media that I tune into has to do with social issues, as this. And on Twitter right now, there's a lot of people that are boycotting brands that have the pride flag in their logos. Google's the next one. Boycott Google. Don't use it.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, this is you guys. You guys, like, because it's woke. Google went woke.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
So let's use DuckDuckGo. Who cares?
Not
Would
a
you
bad thing,
would you
sure.
boycott something with the Confederate flag on it?
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
The Confederate flag is a lot different than the pride flag. Let's just put
Generationally-
that out. there.
Generationally,
speaking, you know what I mean?
maybe
Like,
not. What,
this is the
way we
disconnect.
look-
Like I said,
The
there's a
pride
big
flag
disconnect.
does not support slavery.
I'm not talking
Let's
about-
just put that out
No.
there.
I'm not talking about what supports anything. I'm talking about there are different beliefs between the generations. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna fight.
Mhm.
We're gonna fight. It doesn't matter.
There's
Look,
just a different
you're talking
view
about
on
slavery,
it.
right? And I understand what you're saying.
It's a lot.
We're talking about Bud Light, and
Yeah,
they're talking about the same shit.
yeah.
So, but Daryl, from the Healthy Computer, School Street, Jewett City,
Mhm.
he goes, I bought a 30-pack of Bud Light because it was on sale.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
You know?
prices are way down. If you're a Bud Light fan, now's the time to grab it. Load up your that extra fridge you have in your garage.
Yeah.
Just to
Except we don't drink beer.
sum
I know,
up
we don't
everything
either.
that I have wanted to say today, but just to sum up everything, boycotts aside, whatever, gay people aren't going away.
No, they're not.
Trans people aren't going away.
No.
Mm-mm.
It's just what it is. You can boycott, you can stomp your feet, go dump out a beer, do whatever you want. They're not going to go away.
Right.
And neither are the others.
No, they're
They
not.
never did.
No,
They
that's
never
what I'm
did.
saying.
Okay,
That's- and
back
that's
when
what
I
it
was a
is.
kid, right? There were skaters,
Yeah.
right? And there's like skaters. Well, you look weird.
Yeah.
You're dressing, whatever. And
Mhm.
guess what? You get older, so all right, well,
Whatever.
whatever.
Yeah.
And then you have this. You know what? The skaters are dressing the exact same way they did 40
Mhm.
years ago.
Yeah.
It's not any different,
hmm
And
The
it's like,
difference is being gay maybe 40 years ago, you got enough ridiculous.
I didn't mean skaters were gay.
I
I'm
know,
just
but
saying.
I know. I'm just going back to like what I was saying. Being gay 40 years ago, maybe if you're ridiculed enough, you would have stopped. You would have pretended to be straight, do whatever you did to just get through.
Right.
Today, gay people come out, they can be ridiculed as they do, but they're not going to stop. Is the thing. They're just going to keep going. And that's
Right.
what
And that's what they should do. And
pride
one,
is important for that reason.
and I don't think they need to come out. Just be you. My sister's a lesbian.
Yeah.
She didn't come out. We all knew
No,
she
I-
didn't need to.
I-
Coming
I
out
agree
is
with
She didn't
Sarah.
need
an
to.
important
You know
part
my
of
whole
it.
thing about Dylan Emmett in the thing that bothered me the most, this whole thing, it was a gift, right?
It was a gift. Yep.
It's a gift.
Should have kept it to him damn self.
Yeah. Why did exactly?
You know what I mean?
Why?
This never would have happened.
Yeah.
And that's
If
got
he
nothing
just-
to do with him being gay, trans,
Nothing.
nothing.
No.
But it was
Like,
a social media
I was gonna say,
campaign.
if you got something in the
She
mail,
That was a
probably
marketing.
she
You would've been so
probably
excited. You
got
would've posted it on
paid to
Facebook.
do it, or if she
Yeah.
didn't, they wanted her to show it.
Right. It was
Yeah.
a marketing. It was
And,
a
like,
marketing
why
campaign.
wouldn't you? If a brand gifted you something with your face on it,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be like, "Look at this thing this brand did for me. They gave me this thing with my face on it." Whether she got paid or not, I don't know. But if it were me, I would have shown
I would've been
people.
excited.
That's
But
what I'm
that's-
saying.
But that, I think, comes and walks hand in hand with the responsibility of the platform that you're on.
Mhm.
TikTok.
And do you need
is-
that much attention? Why do you want that much
TikTok
attention?
is very much children. So
Children?
yeah.
Okay.
35 to 54 is the fastest growing demographic on TikTok.
But children,
There's a lot of kids on there.
there's a lot
Right.
of children on
Yeah.
TikTok. A
They
lot of
brought a
people,
lot of them from
but
Musically.
a lot of people from
Mhm.
my age,
Musically,
too.
oh
Like
my God.
that are my age or a little bit younger or a little bit older. Like Gen Z. That's pretty much what it was for a long time. It was Musically before, and then it turned into TikTok, and like it was mostly just us there. And then like a lot more people started getting into it. More adults now were into it. But before, when all these people started becoming famous, it was because like
Mhm.
people my age made them famous.
Mhm.
If she's the same age as me, I believe. Or you're younger? She's 21, I
Who?
think. Dylan.
Oh, I have no idea.
Victoria says Dylan was paid $50,000 by Bud to do the bathtub video.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Huh?
That's when
Proof
she,
of that?
she that's when she showed that she got the can. She was in the bathtub. But
She was in the bathtub?
she's completely covered.
I didn't even know.
I don't think that's the point. I think the point is that did Dylan know
Know what?
what was going to happen? Is Dylan
course
a part
not.
of this?
Yeah, it's a
course.
marketing campaign.
Yeah, but I don't think she knew it was going to cause outrage is the thing.
I think that's why it was done.
I don't
Marketing is very savvy.
Let
me
don't
tell you,
think that was
Marketing
the
is
person
extremely savvy.
that she is online and the person that I see her to be. I don't think
it wasn't Dylan, it was Bud Light.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. She was not going to be the one to want to start a problem.
She could have said no.
I don't think she
She
tried
didn't
to
have
start
to
a problem.
accept it.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Making a living.
That's what I'm saying. She didn't want to start a problem. If she got paid to do it, okay, fine. She's making money off of a brand deal.
And now
But
the backlash is
so
coming. But
That's
that's
what
a
I'm
choice.
saying.
So
That's
Bud-
what I'm
choice.
saying.
So Budweiser's using Dylan
Yes.
Mulvaney, and it's okay.
That was Dylan's choice.
And everyone should support that.
No.
Oh,
no,
okay.
No. It was
Okay.
Dylan's choice to take that, accept it, and if Dylan got
Right.
paid,
Right.
then it's Dylan's choice.
Mm-hmm.
Good, bad, or indifferent, whatever comes Dylan's way,
Mm-hmm.
that's because of Dylan's choice.
So is Dylan a sellout?
Not because, like Mike says here, because China controls the TikTok algorithm.
I
Yeah.
don't even know if that's how much.
You don't even know that's true.
paid.
And this, but that's what I'm talking about. You've got people our age and stuff like that, right? The way they try to fight the woke society is, Trump 2024,
Yeah.
or whatever, which is, look, this country has flourished under Republicans. This country has flourished under Democrats.
Mhm.
Over the last 8 to 10 years, it's been one big separatist event.
Mm-hmm.
All of that. And this isn't any different.
No.
This is just another way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then you got poor Mike here who's saying, this is to bring transhumanism, World Economic Forum, say it out loud.
I don't even know what that means.
Sam?
There is no evidence that she got paid for this.
I was just gonna say.
I
where's the
just
proof
looked
of that?
this
I
up.
thought there was a TikTok that he made about that, saying that he got paid.
No, she may have got paid. There's nothing saying she got $50,000.
I don't know.
This whole media campaign, which I just saw, was part of a giveaway of $15,000.
So, Victoria, where did you get your
Yeah,
information?
let me know where you found that number from, because I cannot seem to find that number.
Right.
I don't know if it even matters though how much Dylan
What
got
kind
paid.
of does? It
It
kind of
does,
does.
because like
Why does
I
it
don't-
matter how much you got paid?
because from
Victoria says he admitted it, or she admitted it.
I was
She
gonna say, I
did it.
thought
We
I
need
saw.
to refer to her as
she-
she because
I thought-
she
that's
said
who
it
she
was-
is at this point.
she said
Okay,
But Victoria, being who Victoria is,
Correct.
won't do that.
Well,
No.
that's
And that's
on
what
her, and that's
and that's what I was saying earlier.
Sorry,
Was
Victoria, but
Dylan?
it's true.
Dylan
I
may
know.
want to be called she, but that doesn't mean I have to call her she. I can call him he. I can call him Dylan. I can call him
well,
whatever.
Okay, so what if I
Dylan is a
refer to
woman.
Victoria as a he? I
Fine.
don't have to refer to her as
No,
a she.
correct. Right.
I just think it's rude.
but
See, I think it's rude that you're trying to tell me
disrespectful.
what I need to say.
It's disrespectful.
It is.
I don't see it as disrespectful at all. I think it's
I-
disrespectful that you're coming into my bubble telling me what I need to be
She
saying.
never told you to do anything.
He's saying he
Dylan-
wants to be called a girl. And he
Well,
wants
she
me
is.
to refer to him as a girl. That doesn't mean I have
She
to.
is.
She's not. She has an
She is.
XY chromosomes.
But
she can
for
if
all
she wants
intents
to
and
pretend
purposes, she is a female.
but
when
she's
you-
not. She
she may
looks she may look like
biologically-
one. She wants to look like one, and that's fine. She's gone through all the stuff to look like one, and that's perfectly
When
fine.
you're on hormone therapy for several years, they do run tests, and they have run tests and clinical studies that show biologically you are no different
I'm
than
not laughing at you.
Then-
This guy Mike goes, my adjectives are handsome and smart.
biologically they cannot distinguish you from
Right.
whatever you used to be. Yes, you may have those chromosomes still. You pull anything else, blood, hormones, anything, you are biologically whatever you are trying to be.
So I'm going to tell you right now that is not true.
It
And the
is true.
reason I can tell you that is because I work in clinical research, and in clinical research, we cannot use a female who is a biological male for clinical research because they are biologically
It's
different.
hormone research.
We can't. But you're saying for clinical, like clinically, there's no difference. If there were no difference, we'd be
From
able to
the
use.
research.
I work in clinical research,
I'm saying the hormone research.
but clinically, it's still in the clinic. Clinically, we cannot use them. They would be a male if they were born a male, or a female born a female for a clinical research study. In pharmaceuticals and everything, that all of that, we cannot use that. They are not the same.
No, I'm not talking about your studies though. I'm talking about the studies they're doing on hormones.
Right. But you're saying
With those
clinically they're the
people.
same. They're not.
That's a clinical study.
I work in clinical studies. I can tell you right now that it's not the same at all.
But she's talking about a specific study.
Specific clinical
Specific to
study,
that.
not
But-
overall clinical research.
But if they're saying that there's no difference, and that means we'd be able to use, it wouldn't matter for clinical
But
research.
with research, you have to do it again and again.
So it's just one single study
There's probably multiple now.
of how many people,
I don't know. I don't know.
Hey, Melissa. So this is a cat fight. We refer to them as furries.
meow.
God.
Sorry, bad dad joke. I will.
That was
I'll
a good
tell
one
ya,
though.
there's a lot of comments about this. There's a lot of chatter.
Oh, I'm sure.
Everyone's screaming that I'm woke and a liberal.
No.
Not yet. No.
No.
Not there yet.
I was
It's a-
waiting for that.
I kind of knew there was going to be that generation gap,
Right.
you know, with
Mhm.
today.
Right.
But I wanted to have that generation represented.
Mhm.
You know, and I think Sam's a good representation of that because she's very intelligent and she's, you know, been through this. Whether you agree with her or you don't, you know, it's, you know, she's speaking from what her beliefs are and what she, you
Right.
know, has studied in school in the last 4 years.
And that's the thing too. You don't need to agree,
You don't need,
and
to
you
agree.
don't have like it, you
Right.
can disagree and move on with your day. It doesn't.
We've talked about it before.
Yeah,
You disagree and still playing the same sandbox.
whatever,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
exactly.
But
And-
I think what she's trying to say is it's a level of respect, though. Also, I mean, like you want to be respected for who you are and what you've been through in your life, and we should, you know. And I was saying this the other day at home. We were talking about Pride Month is starting in June. June 1st starts Pride Month, and I remember saying like, how sad is it that we have to have a Pride Month?
you don't have to.
No, but
Any more than we need to have a Black History Month.
Right.
That's what
Yeah,
I'm saying,
exactly.
like,
You
Morgan
don't, we don't-
Freeman
we
said-
don't need
it
to.
just seems sad
We don't need a
that
Black
we have
History
to
Month.
have a month to recognize Pride.
We
Like, why
don't,
can't
though.
we just?
That's right. It's just part of life.
It should just
We
be
don't need
inherent
to
we
have
just
that month.
Respect everyone.
Yeah.
You know, gay, Black, white,
Right.
indifferent,
Yeah.
trans, whoever you are. I just respect who you are and what you've been through.
Mhm.
We shouldn't have. I mean, but we do have to have a Pride Month because this stuff needs to be recognized because not everyone will.
See,
Not everyone will understand.
I don't think a Pride Month will make anybody understand it any more than they do May 30th.
They've had the
Or
Pride
July
Parade
1st.
in San Francisco for 40 years.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to make anybody
No one said anything about
understand it, or I don't
Fights over that too.
I don't
over
think
it.
Pride Month. I mean, it's all we're already. It's in everyday society. Like we see it every day,
We do,
365
but
days a
obviously
year.
People, I mean, based on
But-
comments that have been here, like not everyone understands it.
Pride Month isn't going to change that.
You know,
You know what I mean? Like that's Pride. Nothing in Pride Month will change anybody's minds on it. And that's the respect has to go both ways. You know, I mean, the younger generation also has to respect the older generation and what they've been through and how
Right.
they were brought up. And
Right.
it's different. It's just different. And the respect has to go both
Right.
ways.
And I just wish that like people would just open their minds a
Mhm.
little bit and just understand or just accept the fact that there
Mhm.
are trans people in this world. This is who they are. This is you
Mhm.
know gay, non-binary, whoever you happen to be. Just respect the fact that this is who they want to be.
Mhm.
You know, they were born female, but now they want to be male.
Mhm.
Don't ridicule them. Don't belittle them. This is who they are. Just
Mhm.
accept it.
Mhm.
I mean, if it was your child, what would you do? Would you disown your own child because they came to you and said that?
some people have.
And that
They
to
do.
me is
Mhm.
disgusting. That
Mhm.
is
Some people have
absolutely
disowned their
disgusting.
children. That has nothing to do with being gay.
That's
Also,
absolutely-
I mean, just
I don't
disowning
think-
your children in general. I mean, it wouldn't matter what
mean,
the.
if any one of my children came to me and told me that they thought they might be gay, that they wanted to change gender identities, I don't know how to be anything but accepting.
Yeah, be you, boo.
Because
Whatever.
That's my child.
Do your thing.
I carried that
Mhm.
child for 9 months. I bonded with that child. They're absolutely my child. I could not ever not support them in what they felt they needed to do to live their best life.
Yeah.
And people that disown their children or
For any
tell their
reason,
children
sick.
they're wrong because of how they feel,
Mhm.
you know, I can't understand those people. I cannot get in that mindset.
Yeah.
I really cannot.
No, and I agree with that. I mean, it's just that's why this whole time I've been saying just be you. Just
Here's
be.
an interesting statement, and it's true. Put 100 trans women and 10 men on an island. 100 years later, 110 male skeletons.
Correct.
So does the entire human race, do they fade out? Because no.
Well, obviously, it's they
What do you-
can't reproduce.
Or is it because there's that innate nature, whether you think or whether you feel you're male or female, that takes over and says, I must reproduce?
There's technology they're experimenting with. There was an article written maybe a year or so ago where they did the first transplant of a uterus onto a trans woman.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Did it work?
As far as I know, yes, but I don't know viability if it actually works. That's what they're probably going to test, I would assume. But I think the technology is only going to get better. That perhaps you could take a trans woman and viably make them into a fertile, like fetus carrying woman, where biologically in the past it wouldn't have been possible. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's people coming into the biotechnology field every day, biomedical
Mhm.
engineering. So I don't know.
You know, what's really going to be messed up is if we create an AI robot and they become trans. What
Yeah,
a mess that's going to be.
Just throw some water on them.
Robots even identifies anything? I don't think so.
How do you know they can't? It can't be learned because
Mhm.
apparently they learn.
They
Mhm.
just- if you have to tell them what they are, is what I from the Snapchat AI bot thing. I've never used it, but I see people on TikTok using it. You have to tell
creepy.
them what
Your
they
homework:
are.
watch iRobot.
Yeah, no, I'll set.
It's
creepy.
Facebook user says biological females can get pregnant, trans women cannot.
I mean, I mean, they don't have a uterus, they don't have ovaries, fallopian tubes, all that. So yes,
Whereas
correct.
a trans male can get pregnant because
They're female.
A lot of times they still have female parts.
And see, Sam, this is the argument between
I'm-
are you male or are you
I'm
female?
quite aware. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know what the argument is.
Yeah. I mean, remember years ago there was that one trans
So is it
male.
science or conceptual?
Yes.
I don't know.
Remember that one trans male that got pregnant and it was headline news for like months on end, and it was like, oh my God, this pregnant man. Not a pregnant man.
No, it was a woman that was pregnant. That was.
It is a male that still has female
Right.
parts. It's
Mhm.
not beyond the scope of capability that this person would get pregnant
Right.
and carry a baby to term.
Yeah. But I think that's what was being pushed
Really
was,
not.
the first man, first pregnant man, and that's what was being pushed out there and all the headlines
Yeah.
and everything. And it was like, no, come on, let's apply some common sense. Like
Yes,
if he,
honestly.
if he, she or he, whatever, wanted to be male,
Right.
fine, be male, but don't be on the cover of magazines trying to pretend like
Yeah, like
you're the
some-
first
some-
male,
some, science
pregnant.
breakthrough.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Not really.
Well-
You're typing back. What were you typing?
No.
Oh.
I'm just. It's just things are prophetic from way back in the '70s that we
Yeah.
didn't realize.
Mhm.
And I'm going to go back to a quote from Frank Perdue:
Okay.
"And parts is parts."
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
So, but that they're talking about chicken there. So,
Mhm.
I think what happens that I've seen is that, and tell me if I'm wrong, I'm going to go back to the generation gap again. When I was a kid, when we were kids, there was a generation gap.
Mhm.
There's
Yeah.
always going to be a
Oh, yeah,
generation
always.
gap. It's just going to be different.
Yep.
It's going to be different issues.
Yeah, different topics, different. Yeah, exactly. I think part of it too now, and then this is the generational gap thing, I think too, with social media and everything. I mean, your generation was brought up with social media and all of that stuff,
Right.
where we, we had it maybe starting in our 20s, maybe 30s, where it kind of started. And so I think a lot of it is I think your generation likes the attention and likes having attention on them just because they're used to that, with social media putting, you guys share a lot, you guys share things on social media, you share life, milestones, every, mundane, oh, here's what I had for lunch. I mean, everything, and I'm not saying only you guys, but, your
Really? 'Cause
generation
I
is
know
more
someone
familiar
who
with that.
shares
Yeah, I
every
know.
part of
I
their
know.
life on
I
Facebook.
heard.
What?
But but I
I've
think
You know anybody like that, Melissa?
I might resemble that, Mark. I don't know.
but your generation obviously is very comfortable with that because you grew up with that. So I wonder if a lot of this too is just and I'm not saying attention seeking, but because your generation is so used to having that attention on you all the time that when there isn't attention on something that you have to get that attention.
Some things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some things. It's like, I don't know how to explain this, but it's like a trend.
Just do your best.
It's like a trend-ish kind of on social media where like people like it's always like the stupidest things and people will reply to it, say it's like a tweet, and people are like, how come no one's talking about this? How come no one said anything about this? Because no one cares.
Right. Yeah.
No one cares. It's always something so
But then that's also,
stupid,
and then
too.
people take offense to that. Like, what do you mean no one cares? Oh my God. And then that turns into a thing.
and
It's
then
like, Jesus,
it's
stop.
paragraph replies on why
Yeah.
we should care about it.
Right.
I'm like, I just don't like. It's always, why aren't we talking about this?
Mhm.
Because why should we? You're not giving me a good reason why we should be talking about it. It just seems like you're complaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but one thing I will say about the generation gap is that education is lifelong.
Yes.
There is no law saying that you can't learn new things
Yep.
when you're older.
Right.
Not saying that people need to be accepting all the time. My grandma still says some things that I don't necessarily agree with, but she also understands a lot of things just from us talking to her. 'Cause she learns things all the time. And, I talk to your parents all the time and try to tell them things. Are they stuck in their ways sometimes? Yes. However, you can always try to learn
Yeah.
is the thing. Some people don't want to learn. They don't have to. Okay, that's fine.
I think some people are just more open to it.
Yes,
You know-
some
Yeah.
people are very open to learning, but education is a lifelong thing. I will say there's nothing stopping you from learning. You can argue that you don't understand. You You can always learn.
They may not want to.
That's what I'm
understand.
saying. You
Yeah,
don't
well,
have to.
I gotta
can.
tell you. And this is something, and I think we've talked about this before, and this is a part of the generation gap. I think maybe it was more Megan I talked to about this, but it's part of the generation gap where like you have things that are you grew up knowing, and you may have thought was kind of cool, but then you find out not so much. So, for example, my mom, back in the one of the things she told me, and now this is again a generation before me, right? Had said, and not part of any of this, obviously. And she had said that, hey, did you know we are relatives to who was it? The explorers. That's how much I care.
Lewis and Clark?
Lewis and Clark.
Oh, Lewis and Clark. Okay.
Yeah, Lewis and
Oh,
Clark.
right,
Oh,
right.
okay. And I never really looked into it or anything like that, but but my mom had read, I guess she got a book from one of her relatives or one of her mother's relatives from like Virginia or South Carolina. And anyway, the family tree kind of follows it up. So I'm thinking, well, this is pretty cool. This is really, really cool. And until this was way before the whole quote unquote woke generation came about. And I think this is about because I think I have the ability to learn and change, my viewpoint depending, on what I hear. I'm not trying to put myself up here or anything like that. This is just a personal experience. So when I was married to Leanna, who was Native American, we went out to South Dakota, and which was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. We were on the reservation, and it was really, really cool. Me thinking I knew something, sat at dinner the very first night, and I told her Uncle Red, hey, all right, talk about stupid, okay? Hey, did you know that my relative, up, it is Lewis and Clark, or one of them.
You told a bunch of Native Americans you're related to colonists and founded
Uncle
genocide.
Red looked at me and he said, don't ever. And he was pissed.
Yeah.
He said, don't ever. And now we're talking about, there was a whole bunch of Native Americans on this long table, right? There's probably about 15. And I'm like, my first day there, I'm like,
Oh my God.
okay. And that was it.
Whoopsie.
But what happened as a result of that is much different.
Right.
Because I went outside after dinner and had a cigarette because now I'm stressed to the max. I'm in South Dakota and the whole state hates me, Red comes out. And he said to me, he goes, I want to tell you why I said what I said. And he said, they were not good people. He said, they stole our food. They raped and killed our women and just kind of barreled through. But American history glorifies them.
Because they blaze a path
To the
for
west.
people to come here
Right.
that would eventually just take the land anyways and kill all of them anyways.
Right. So now when I tell that story, and I think you know this, and I think you probably know it too, when I tell that story, I'll say, they weren't good people, whether they're relatives or not.
Yeah.
Was it cool for a while? Like, oh, yeah. But then you find out, from people that their ancestors actually lived that. And it's like, oh,
never
yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
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 So now it's like, yeah,
Yep.
I guess I'm related to them.
I
See what I mean?
Yeah, you might want to just not mention that anymore.
No. It's something that I felt that I learned.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know
yeah,
what I mean?
it was a learning
You
experience
know,
for you. Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people in our generation feel like we can't learn.
Yeah. Some
Right?
people, yeah.
it's kind of like when we were younger, we knew everything.
Of course.
Of
We
course.
didn't want to hear anything,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yep.
And I think that just comes with age. So.
Well, and I think I was going to say that too, was I definitely agree. You can always learn. There's always, and things change
Mhm.
so often, all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can always learn. But I don't think that's necessarily generational
Yep.
because everybody can learn. You know, the old people, you can teach an old dog new tricks as long as they're willing to learn.
Right.
But the younger
they're not willing.
generation also has to learn. And also has to, you know, be open to education as well. It's everybody. It's not just older people or younger people or this generation, that generation. It's everybody. You always have to be open to learning. You know, I think with your generation, being open to learning the history of, you know, just in the last 100 years and why our generation thinks the way they do and you know, that sort of thing will give you some perspective. It certainly won't change anything, but it'll give some perspective. And the same for our generation and understanding and learning how that generation's grown up and how things
Right.
have just so different. That'll give us perspective on why they think the way they think and why
Mhm.
things are different. I mean, it's for everybody.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember being in high school and I'm thinking of one person in particular when we were in high school who, like, in my mind, I always thought, oh, you know, he might be gay or whatever. Never had a girlfriend, whatever. But I never really thought about it
Mhm.
until, like, over the last few years, we've become, like, I mean, I knew him in high school. We were friends in high school. We lost contact for, you know, a number of years. And now, as adults, we're friends on Facebook. And he is definitely out and proud gay. And, like, but I remember him telling me about how he was bullied in high school and he never came out as gay. He never,
Mm-hmm.
you know, whatever, but he was bullied in high school because people just assumed he was gay. But he's living his life now, you know, proud and
Mhm.
gay, and nobody bats an eye. Nobody cares.
Yeah, right.
And
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
and I'm actually, like, happy
Mm-hmm.
for him. That
Right.
He's, you know, happy and proud
Mm-hmm.
and living his best life. I mean,
Yep.
and that's all anybody should do.
Yep.
Just
That's
live your best life.
I was saying my sister's a lesbian and I mean, we knew when she was a baby. I mean, I
Right.
2-3 years old, like we're like, yeah, she's
my friend.
we just knew. So she never had to come out. It was just never a topic. It was just she was what she was and whatever.
Yeah.
And we just went along with it. And yeah, I mean, and even now it's not like she's out. She is who she is, you know. I mean, she's not waving, you know, pride flags anywhere. She's not going out there and, like, making it a big deal. She's just living her life and she's just existing.
And
She's just doing her thing and
I
that's
wish
it.
everybody could. I wish
exactly.
everybody could just
And
do
I
that.
think if everybody did do that, I don't think we'd be today having this conversation.
We're going to always have the conversation.
It would be about
'Cause
something
you know
else.
what's going to happen?
It would be about
is that her generation, right? And the next one's going to be what? Gen ZZ? I don't know.
Who that
What are they going to call it?
Alpha. I don't
Gen
know.
Alpha.
Oh my god, I was right.
Really?
Seriously?
And then alpha, beta.
I was
I see it
joking.
coming.
I was joking.
I
But
kinda
okay.
was too, but-
It's Gen Alpha. Is the
Okay.
next one. Our generation ends at 2000.
But there's always going to be the generation gap,
Yeah.
2000.
you know?
I
But I
think.
gotta tell you something too. That and we talk about you know, I was raised by two lesbians.
Mhm.
Very much so,
Yep.
since I was, you know, single digits.
Mhm.
I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
You know, and we're talking about a couple of women who lived through this where
It wasn't really that
oh
accepted.
no,
Mm-mm.
and they kept it very, very quiet.
Mhm. They were friends,
Very,
right?
very quiet.
They were just close
Yes.
friends, and
Yeah.
Mhm.
30 years, never
Yeah.
fought.
Right.
Yep.
How many times have I told you
Mhm.
I want to have a relationship like they've had
Mhm. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It's
together? I mean,
yeah, of course.
everybody has their problems, everybody has their issues,
Of
but
course.
Right.
so you talk about that, you know, and learning, you know, through generations,
Mhm.
but you're still going to have the separatism.
There's still going to
That
be
is
something that's
crazy, right?
controversial.
Exactly.
Always. There will, whether it's, you know, which cookie is the best, chocolate chip or oatmeal raisin. I mean, people will argue over anything.
Right.
You know, I mean,
Raisin's the best today, but chocolate chip will be best for me tomorrow.
yeah, right? Yeah,
I like 'em
exactly.
both.
Yeah. Mhm.
So
I just, you know,
what?
I just wish, I don't know. I just,
You
based on-
disagreeing with me?
No, No, I agree with you. I'm just saying, like, based on some of the comments, I just wish that people would just open their minds just a little bit. That's
So I want to end this by actually give you a couple of positive comments that from people that because a lot of it's been because a lot of it is generational again,
Yeah,
right?
no, I was waiting for my hate comments.
I knew, and you're strong, so I knew you'd be.
Yeah,
When we
go
were sitting
home
down
and
yesterday,
cry
I
after.
knew.
She's gotta
No,
But just
No,
keep in mind though, disagreeing is not hate.
I knew you could handle it. That's
no,
why.
I'm okay
hate.
with people disagreeing with me because I will have my beliefs and I will say whatever I want to say.
Good
But
for you.
no, I was waiting for people to start calling me like a woke liberal
Oh,
online.
Actually, that
Do you
never
find
came
that
up.
that didn't
offensive?
come up. That didn't come up.
I don't find it offensive, but people use it as
As an
Like
insult.
they think they're
insult. Now I'm
insulting you.
like, okay, I don't care.
Sarah says, "I loved hearing Sam's voice today because you can't see these comments right here. I loved hearing Sam's voice today because I not only have no clue what generation I am, but get so confused in gender issues. It was nice to hear Sam's educated thoughts this morning. Maybe we need to just listen more so we could learn."
Yeah, which is
And
what
I've
I
had
said.
those epiphanies, which I wish I would have had 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Sarah, you're Generation X.
What?
Just so you know.
Oh,
Gen X.
all right. And another text comment. Both sides are good to hear from, but human rights are not a platform for both. But not a platform for both sides.
True. Human
and-
rights aren't a political issue.
Mm-mm.
No, I agree. They're not.
And it's been made that,
And
Yes.
Right.
you know.
Exactly.
And I think we got to. And we're just this little show, and whatever. But I think you just gotta try to get along. Quit worry about what everybody else is doing.
Right.
Well, that's it. Stop worrying
Open
about what
your
other
mind.
people think. Just live your life, do your
your
thing, and just move on.
Understand that everybody is
Yep.
Everybody has
Everybody
the
just-
right to be them.
Mhm.
exactly.
Mhm.
I finally understood See, I don't know if I'm woke or I'm not. I don't know. I don't really care. All right, Sam, you're
Woke
you're
is
laughing.
just like not a.
it's not. I know.
a
It's
thing.
that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know what it is, and I don't really
People
care.
just use it as an insult, but
Right.
no one knows what it means.
I just know that I just personally, and I'm not just saying this to a line because y'all know this. I don't really care.
I don't even.
Everybody is who they are,
Mhm.
and that's what I think we need to be. That's part of the problem in society is we're all worried about everybody else.
Mhm.
Everything is so polarizing. Like everything has to be like,
And it should
what
be.
side are you on? There's no
Yeah,
side.
it shouldn't matter.
Especially like human rights. There's no side to human rights.
Right.
People have a right to live.
exist
Mhm.
and
Yes.
live their lives the way they want to live it.
That's what I'm
Mhm.
saying. We tout so much in this country, freedom, freedom, freedom. You can be who you are. And then someone's like, this is who I am. And they say, no.
No,
Yeah.
no, that's wrong. You shouldn't live that
It-
way.
Everybody can have their own beliefs. I get it.
Yeah.
But don't shove it down somebody's throat.
That's the thing.
It's kind of like, you know
Yeah.
what was one of the biggest things like when I was growing up? Religion.
Yes.
Religion
Yep.
still is.
But I'm
getting
talking
shoved
about that was
down.
one of the
No,
biggest
not
things
like
when
it
I was
used to
growing
be.
up.
Ooh.
It's like, okay, fine.
Mhm.
Don't shove it down my throat.
Yep.
I want to believe what I want to believe.
Mhm.
Right.
Yep, like the Jehovah's Witnesses coming to your door, and whatever.
anything.
People leaving flyers in your door, on your car in
We
the parking
still get-
lot.
You still have
Letters.
a choice though to not
Right.
open the door.
Absolutely right,
You know?
right. But it's the Jehovah. I'm going to use them as an
I
example.
don't know any
but
one of them that kind of barge through the door.
No, oh, I've
The one
had
time I
had
made the
some.
mistake of opening the
Ooh.
door to see what the little old lady wanted, and she sat there talking to me for 20 minutes about Jehovah and Jesus and
Yeah,
this, that, and the other. And I'm
I've
like,
had
oh.
them stick their foot in the door, not let me close the door. It's there's some very assertive folks out there, but you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, religion is a big one, and not everyone's going to agree, but you know what? You do your thing. You go to your church on whatever day you go to your church, but you don't need to be going around trying to shove it down everyone else's throat that, hey, I went to church, or I went to, same thing for
Absolutely.
gym rats. Hey, how come you're not in the gym? You're not healthy. I'm running a marathon and you're not. You don't, just shut up. Just do your thing. Go to the gym, do your thing. Shut up.
Right.
Rachel, my ferret-loving friend down south, says everyone is free to be who they want to be. All people should be celebrated.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
Mhm.
It really is a-
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you just mind your own business, just carry on, things would be a lot simpler.
You got anything else, Sam?
No.
Want to punch Kathy in the face?
She does.
I'm
Anyway.
I'm not very good at fighting.
No.
I'm saving it for another day when I get stronger.
Back to the gym.
Yeah, so I knew today was going to be a little heavy. I knew today was going to be some disagreeing, but
I was not ready for this on a Monday feeling
I didn't tell you on
Tuesday.
purpose.
Whew.
I didn't tell you on purpose.
After a long weekend and a busy weekend, and then you hit us with this first thing.
Well, hopefully we all learned something from this today. I really do. As far as like how everybody else feels, nobody's telling you you can't believe, what you want to believe, or you or whatever. But I think personally, I hope that we all learned something from this today about each generation, just in a very small sample size.
Mm-hmm.
Another text comment: two very strong-willed women having this debate. It was a real good show.
Good.
So, Laura, I enjoyed the conversation today with different points of views and opinions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we try to do.
Yeah, you can't have a conversation without different perspectives,
Yeah.
different lenses.
We don't shove anything down anybody's throat. We just want to give both sides, and then
Mhm.
you can make your decision.
Yeah.
So, all right. Sam,
And you
thank
don't have
very
to
much.
tell anybody about your decision. Keep
You
it
got
to
to come
yourself.
back. We'll have you on without her.
I can talk about whatever you want me to talk about.
I just knew
Um,
that she's very passionate about
Mhm.
human rights.
and I knew with your medical background, there was going to be a
Mhm.
little
Yep.
gnashing there.
Yeah, that's
Right.
fine.
But hug it out.
It's
you
okay.
two. Hug it out.
No problem. Tonight, town hall annual meeting,
That's
7
right. For the
p.m.
budget.
7 p.m. town hall annual meeting.
All right. Tomorrow, Paul Ash, grumpy as ever. We'll be back in. Have a good day, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.